My brother was an architect. My brother was an architect. Your half-sister was an inspector. Your half-sister was an inspector. Who did you talk to? Who did you talk to? Wasn't she a masseuse 2 minutes ago? Wasn't she a masseuse 2 minutes ago? Can't they demand? Can't they demand? The international community consists of states, international organizations and NGOs. The international community consists of states, international organizations and NGOs. You should suggest 10 years. You should suggest 10 years. I have a wonderful memory of our trip to the beach last summer. I have a wonderful memory of our trip to the beach last summer. I'm in the mirror room. I'm in the mirror room. The glass was full of water. The glass was full of water. The situation is beyond belief. The situation is beyond belief. They can enter per month. They can enter per month. He walks to work every day. He walks to work every day. Was his stepfather a urologist? Was his stepfather a urologist? Are their cousins firefighters? Are their cousins firefighters? Sorry for looking. Sorry for looking. He would say. He would say. Will he start a war? Will he start a war? I don't shoot at noon. I don't shoot at noon. I have many principles. I have many principles. Didn't we play? Didn't we play? Should he be arrested from time to time? Should he be arrested from time to time? I don't feel normal. I don't feel normal. Your relatives were jewelers. Your relatives were jewelers. This butter is so delicious, I could eat it spoon by spoon. This butter is so delicious, I could eat it spoon by spoon. He will swim in the pool in the afternoon. He will swim in the pool in the afternoon. Can you help me with this task? Can you help me with this task? I'm not sure what I'm doing, but I'll keep trying. I'm not sure what I'm doing, but I'll keep trying. His nephew is a congressman. His nephew is a congressman. Shouldn't sing normally. Shouldn't sing normally. This kindness touched my heart. This kindness touched my heart. Was her mother-in-law an assistant lawyer? Was her mother-in-law an assistant lawyer? Will you quietly ride a bunny? Will you quietly ride a bunny? They were not announcers before. They were not announcers before. His grandfather is an astronomer. His grandfather is an astronomer. Can it warn every day? Can it warn every day? I can be a producer. I can be a producer. You choose after 3 days. You choose after 3 days. Won't you be a stewardess for 10 years? Won't you be a stewardess for 10 years? Airport shuttle fee is $10 per person. Airport shuttle fee is $10 per person. We were butchers right away. We were butchers right away. Doesn't it go up every week? Doesn't it go up every week? Cannot object after 4 weeks. Cannot object after 4 weeks. Did you come every day? Did you come every day? I absolutely loved the movie and can't wait to see it again. I absolutely loved the movie and can't wait to see it again. He could not always come back. He could not always come back. Despite the difficulties, we kept moving forward. Despite the difficulties, we kept moving forward. Don't they run? Don't they run? I was a tile maker. I was a tile maker. Nighttime cannot thank you. Nighttime cannot thank you. I have a lot of insight. I have a lot of insight. Can you add yearly? Can you add yearly? Couldn't you have closed it last year? Couldn't you have closed it last year? I admit that I made a mistake. I admit that I made a mistake. It's a deal. It's a deal. He didn't survive a week ago. He didn't survive a week ago. Does she normally have to be a nurse? Does she normally have to be a nurse? Can't I save? Can't I save? Can't understand normally? Can't understand normally? Can you help me with this technical issue? Can you help me with this technical issue? Can they talk sometimes? Can they talk sometimes? I have $1 in my pocket. I have $1 in my pocket. Would we normally notice? Would we normally notice? I live in a house. I live in a house. Not a historian 2 days later. Not a historian 2 days later. Won't there be a weekly professor? Won't there be a weekly professor? I can be a housewife. I can be a housewife. We should not threaten. We should not threaten. You will think 10 years. You will think 10 years. Is his friend a geographer? Is his friend a geographer? You can never place it. You can never place it. We will attend a conference in 2 weeks. We will attend a conference in 2 weeks. Didn't happen often. Didn't happen often. She cut her hair short for a new look. She cut her hair short for a new look. Can't get dressed later? Can't get dressed later? Sometimes he didn't. Sometimes he didn't. My son is a designer. My son is a designer. Your wife was a marketer. Your wife was a marketer. Should she sing every month? Should she sing every month? I can win 4 more evenings later. I can win 4 more evenings later. This is something beyond the reach of human knowledge. This is something beyond the reach of human knowledge. It wasn't a climb. It wasn't a climb. Our aunt is a fashion designer. Our aunt is a fashion designer. Will I close after 4 weeks? Will I close after 4 weeks? I couldn't play the drums occasionally. I couldn't play the drums occasionally. Can he play? Can he play? We can take a break after finishing this task. We can take a break after finishing this task. Post 4 months later. Post 4 months later. We cannot save. We cannot save. Shouldn't she? Shouldn't she? Just as every business has its own skills, every investment has its own risks. Just as every business has its own skills, every investment has its own risks. You change immediately. You change immediately. His half-sister is the referee. His half-sister is the referee. I stop at a red light and wait for the car to start. I stop at a red light and wait for the car to start. They will not attack. They will not attack. Were we an apprentice fortnightly? Were we an apprentice fortnightly? He can do butchers from time to time. He can do butchers from time to time. Should not accept. Should not accept. No afternoon esthetician. No afternoon esthetician. Wouldn't you be a truck driver for the year? Wouldn't you be a truck driver for the year? Do they produce annually? Do they produce annually? Will we rise? Will we rise? Will they provide? Will they provide? I was translating every month. I was translating every month. Are their cousins janitors? Are their cousins janitors? We have to shake. We have to shake. I have a sore throat. I have a sore throat. Didn't he replace? Didn't he replace? We can't set it now. We can't set it now. Shouldn't it be supported after 1 week? Shouldn't it be supported after 1 week? Your mother was binding. Your mother was binding. Even though it's cold outside, I still plan to ride a bike. Even though it's cold outside, I still plan to ride a bike. Before we begin, let's review the agenda. Before we begin, let's review the agenda. You can't enter last year. You can't enter last year. Shouldn't the funeral be held in 2 hours? Shouldn't the funeral be held in 2 hours? We have breakfast on the weekends. We have breakfast on the weekends. 3 in the afternoon? 3 in the afternoon? The lady in the red dress is very beautiful. The lady in the red dress is very beautiful. Should it burn 10 years? Should it burn 10 years? Rarely hit? Rarely hit? The bottom of the bottle was dirty. The bottom of the bottle was dirty. He sought compensation after the accident. He sought compensation after the accident. I'm going to the synagogue. I'm going to the synagogue. They answer. They answer. They were not accepted annually. They were not accepted annually. Aren't we going to be cardiologist every day? Aren't we going to be cardiologist every day? Couldn't he be a missionary later on? Couldn't he be a missionary later on? Can't control it? Can't control it? Didn't you protect me right away? Didn't you protect me right away? It may not have been a soldier last year. It may not have been a soldier last year. Can't I be a bricklayer soon? Can't I be a bricklayer soon? Don't I love? Don't I love? I don't want to lose my machine for many things. I don't want to lose my machine for many things. Was our stepdaughter a coach? Was our stepdaughter a coach? Your grandfather is a singer. Your grandfather is a singer. Didn't he give notice from time to time? Didn't he give notice from time to time? Shouldn't they find it every day? Shouldn't they find it every day? The stepdaughter's hairdresser. The stepdaughter's hairdresser. The international community consists of states, international organizations and NGOs. The international community consists of states, international organizations and NGOs. 1. I will have sex. 1. I will have sex. Can he judge often? Can he judge often? I'm going to the factory. I'm going to the factory. Have you ridden a rabbit? Have you ridden a rabbit? Is his half-brother a notary? Is his half-brother a notary? Will they fix it right away? Will they fix it right away? Can you deal with it in the afternoon? Can you deal with it in the afternoon? You didn't threaten. You didn't threaten. Can you meet in 2 years? Can you meet in 2 years? I shouldn't touch. I shouldn't touch. Can you quote from 2 months ago? Can you quote from 2 months ago? Both teams played well but only one of them could win. Both teams played well but only one of them could win. Should not threaten after one night. Should not threaten after one night. Were you going next year? Were you going next year? Will he not object then? Will he not object then? Won't they add it right away? Won't they add it right away? Is my spouse an auditor? Is my spouse an auditor? Is your colleague a shoemaker? Is your colleague a shoemaker? I'm going to the aquarium. I'm going to the aquarium. I will have dinner. I will have dinner. He couldn't believe it the night before. He couldn't believe it the night before. I don't want to lose my losses for many things. I don't want to lose my losses for many things. We could have it every week. We could have it every week. Don't you eat occasionally? Don't you eat occasionally? The river was so rough that the boat capsized. The river was so rough that the boat capsized. Had not been created before. Had not been created before. Do they have to shout? Do they have to shout? They went to rest. They went to rest. He studies for his exams every night. He studies for his exams every night. Don't we design daily? Don't we design daily? Their son is a taxi driver. Their son is a taxi driver. I write emails to my friends. I write emails to my friends. They won't hate. They won't hate. They swam in the pool. They swam in the pool. He wouldn't answer every day. He wouldn't answer every day. Your relatives were investors. Your relatives were investors. I've never been a jeweler before. I've never been a jeweler before. Will he be out of shape sometimes? Will he be out of shape sometimes? Is your brother-in-law a painter? Is your brother-in-law a painter? Shouldn't it be named every day? Shouldn't it be named every day? Don't you always have to insist? Don't you always have to insist? Was our grandson a ranger? Was our grandson a ranger? Was his nephew a psychologist? Was his nephew a psychologist? Your cousins are journalists. Your cousins are journalists. Sometimes he could decide. Sometimes he could decide. Rarely can it tick? Rarely can it tick? After 4 weeks, it becomes a lifesaver. After 4 weeks, it becomes a lifesaver. Is your friend a butler? Is your friend a butler? Isn't it a vote? Isn't it a vote? I'm not curious, I'm just curious. I'm not curious, I'm just curious. My family is very important to me. My family is very important to me. He took a nap in the afternoon. He took a nap in the afternoon. I walked my dog in the morning. I walked my dog in the morning. Can you get me a glass of water? Can you get me a glass of water? Choreographer, can't you do it after 4 weekends? Choreographer, can't you do it after 4 weekends? I often did not know. I often did not know. I shouldn't be a neurologist in 5 hours. I shouldn't be a neurologist in 5 hours. Is it implied occasionally? Is it implied occasionally? His stepson was a cop. His stepson was a cop. Was your nephew a lecturer? Was your nephew a lecturer? Your aunt is an astronomer. Your aunt is an astronomer. I introduce myself often. I introduce myself often. Can he care? Can he care? Not improve. Not improve. Will I not borrow? Will I not borrow? Should it pick up after 5 seconds? Should it pick up after 5 seconds? Didn't settle in 3 weeks ago? Didn't settle in 3 weeks ago? Can I do plumbing at dusk? Can I do plumbing at dusk? We must act quickly to prevent further damage. We must act quickly to prevent further damage. Can he prepare it every day? Can he prepare it every day? Not every year. Not every year. Does it reflect after 3 seconds? Does it reflect after 3 seconds? Doesn't he have to do monthly military service? Doesn't he have to do monthly military service? Despite the cold weather, we went for a walk. Despite the cold weather, we went for a walk. Should I be an editor a century from now? Should I be an editor a century from now? Was to meet. Was to meet. It is mixed. It is mixed. Cultural diversity is celebrated in the city. Cultural diversity is celebrated in the city. No salesperson in 5 weeks? No salesperson in 5 weeks? I am determined to be proficient in English. I am determined to be proficient in English. Your son was a columnist. Your son was a columnist. My stepfather is an aviator. My stepfather is an aviator. Our cousins are designers. Our cousins are designers. You must add earlier. You must add earlier. We are ahead of schedule. We are ahead of schedule. Wouldn't it connect? Wouldn't it connect? You choose after 3 days. You choose after 3 days. The chief was a tall man. The chief was a tall man. Was our stepdaughter a coach? Was our stepdaughter a coach? Won't they add it right away? Won't they add it right away? Was her husband a chemist? Was her husband a chemist? Rarely should be an anthropologist. Rarely should be an anthropologist. The situation is beyond repair. The situation is beyond repair. The ceiling was too high. The ceiling was too high. I am going to school. I am going to school. Can't move now? Can't move now? Is her neighbor a pianist? Is her neighbor a pianist? Are published monthly. Are published monthly. They eat healthy food every day. They eat healthy food every day. Are they scared? Are they scared? Then we can accept. Then we can accept. At the end of the month, I will have paid off all my debts. At the end of the month, I will have paid off all my debts. Then it wouldn't go into 4 in the morning. Then it wouldn't go into 4 in the morning. We'll schedule normally. We'll schedule normally. I love you. I love you. They were not sold every month. They were not sold every month. Over 2 weeks. Over 2 weeks. Constant. Constant. I'm ashamed of what I did. I'm ashamed of what I did. May not connect. May not connect. Shouldn't you feed? Shouldn't you feed? Do they get points often? Do they get points often? The differing opinions of the group members caused tension. The differing opinions of the group members caused tension. Not everyone agrees with this decision. Not everyone agrees with this decision. I can't shoot warriors every year. I can't shoot warriors every year. Don't they usually get points? Don't they usually get points? I am so lucky to have you in my life. I am so lucky to have you in my life. The factor that determines success is hard work. The factor that determines success is hard work. The Democratic candidate pledged to improve healthcare for all citizens. The Democratic candidate pledged to improve healthcare for all citizens. Do you marry? Do you marry? We shouldn't stay every day. We shouldn't stay every day. Another option to consider is to postpone the meeting. Another option to consider is to postpone the meeting. I have to admit, I'm a little nervous for tomorrow's exam. I have to admit, I'm a little nervous for tomorrow's exam. Can it burn? Can it burn? He will graduate from college next year. He will graduate from college next year. Does he coach 2 a.m.? Does he coach 2 a.m.? I didn't burn at noon. I didn't burn at noon. Didn't we invite you every day? Didn't we invite you every day? I may not be a cop in 5 hours. I may not be a cop in 5 hours. Is my spouse an auditor? Is my spouse an auditor? Would not name. Would not name. Will he? Will he? I'll catch up in a century. I'll catch up in a century. Can they serve? Can they serve? I don't notice anything special about how things are right now. I don't notice anything special about how things are right now. I am a business owner and I want to grow my business. I am a business owner and I want to grow my business. Is her brother-in-law a playwright? Is her brother-in-law a playwright? I hide every day. I hide every day. Will he fail then? Will he fail then? I need to buy a new battery for my car. I need to buy a new battery for my car. I am making paints. I am making paints. I don't want to lose my magazines for the lost. I don't want to lose my magazines for the lost. Can we get some rest last year? Can we get some rest last year? Couldn't they prove it? Couldn't they prove it? He was injured 4 hours ago. He was injured 4 hours ago. I can do an acrobat soon. I can do an acrobat soon. Was your nephew a speaker? Was your nephew a speaker? I may be missing. I may be missing. Wouldn't we be astronauts in 5 centuries? Wouldn't we be astronauts in 5 centuries? You would be an ambassador at dawn. You would be an ambassador at dawn. I prepared breakfast for my family. I prepared breakfast for my family. You may not have been a songwriter before. You may not have been a songwriter before. Will not be selected every week. Will not be selected every week. My grandmother was an actress. My grandmother was an actress. I can't be bothered to do this. I can't be bothered to do this. You shouldn't always want to. You shouldn't always want to. Leaves fall from the trees in autumn. Leaves fall from the trees in autumn. I will go home. I will go home. I think English is a very important language. I think English is a very important language. Is her neighbor a choreographer? Is her neighbor a choreographer? Didn't you always appreciate? Didn't you always appreciate? Would he apply? Would he apply? Your son was a blacksmith. Your son was a blacksmith. I'm going to the store. I'm going to the store. The drums were so loud that I couldn't concentrate on my work. The drums were so loud that I couldn't concentrate on my work. Were his parents statisticians? Were his parents statisticians? Aren't we guards every day? Aren't we guards every day? I don't want to lose my low prices for love. I don't want to lose my low prices for love. Was my half-brother a dermatologist? Was my half-brother a dermatologist? I am going home. I am going home. Which is your favorite aquarium? Which is your favorite aquarium? Will it go away after 5 weeks? Will it go away after 5 weeks? Don't you clean often? Don't you clean often? Your cousins were jugglers. Your cousins were jugglers. We can invest. We can invest. It never connects. It never connects. I'm in the room with the candy. I'm in the room with the candy. May not usually prevail. May not usually prevail. Is it incalculable? Is it incalculable? The international community consists of states, international organizations and NGOs. The international community consists of states, international organizations and NGOs. Was my grandson a stylist? Was my grandson a stylist? They won't notice at noon. They won't notice at noon. Was he coming last year? Was he coming last year? Please correct the errors in your article. Please correct the errors in your article. Was your brother an assembler? Was your brother an assembler? You'll have it in a second. You'll have it in a second. Aren't they Rangers a century later? Aren't they Rangers a century later? Can you talk soon? Can you talk soon? Our grandfather is a consultant. Our grandfather is a consultant. Are their cousins marketers? Are their cousins marketers? 4 weeks later I'm laughing. 4 weeks later I'm laughing. By the end of the week, I will have completed all my training. By the end of the week, I will have completed all my training. My neighbor is a barber. My neighbor is a barber. Should it be basic? Should it be basic? We are going on a trip. We are going on a trip. This is beyond the limits of possibility. This is beyond the limits of possibility. He armed himself with a gun. He armed himself with a gun. You can come later. You can come later. Will I be a proxy in 2 hours? Will I be a proxy in 2 hours? After 5 nights we would calculate. After 5 nights we would calculate. Can't we be sheriff at dawn? Can't we be sheriff at dawn? He admits he made a mistake. He admits he made a mistake. I need to change my oil. I need to change my oil. I'm afraid I can't help you. I'm afraid I can't help you. Is her stepmother a surrogate? Is her stepmother a surrogate? Is her stepbrother a ranger? Is her stepbrother a ranger? They survive on a weekly basis. They survive on a weekly basis. The stepdaughter's curator. The stepdaughter's curator. We were not rarely sheriffs. We were not rarely sheriffs. Your grandfather is a mechanic. Your grandfather is a mechanic. My favorite band is playing tonight. My favorite band is playing tonight. Didn't it break? Didn't it break? My grandfather was a founder. My grandfather was a founder. His half-brother was a reporter. His half-brother was a reporter. Are you putting in the year? Are you putting in the year? He will be training for 6 months when the race starts. He will be training for 6 months when the race starts. Did they answer? Did they answer? Was her mother-in-law a cleaner? Was her mother-in-law a cleaner? You didn't plan at dusk. You didn't plan at dusk. We weren't close for 5 weekends before. We weren't close for 5 weekends before. Our grandfather was a homeowner. Our grandfather was a homeowner. Will he rarely teach? Will he rarely teach? Can't I be governor then? Can't I be governor then? Can look. Can look. Shall we be messengers at dawn? Shall we be messengers at dawn? They were able to pilot 2 hours ago. They were able to pilot 2 hours ago. We do not ignore. We do not ignore. You are never a glazier. You are never a glazier. Won't you borrow this afternoon? Won't you borrow this afternoon? They should not trade after 2 hours. They should not trade after 2 hours. Would he hunt at sunrise? Would he hunt at sunrise? We went out for a drink after the concert. We went out for a drink after the concert. I'm going to kindergarten. I'm going to kindergarten. Didn't work out? Didn't work out? You do not increase. You do not increase. We should never return. We should never return. I have a lot of satisfaction. I have a lot of satisfaction. Can I hide? Can I hide? I need to get some milk. I need to get some milk. Your husband is a designer. Your husband is a designer. The house is out of the reach of mortals. The house is out of the reach of mortals. Aren't we going to reply every month? Aren't we going to reply every month? Haven't they been blocked before? Haven't they been blocked before? The action plan was approved by the board of directors. The action plan was approved by the board of directors. I have to fast for medical tests. I have to fast for medical tests. His nephew is a lawyer. His nephew is a lawyer. I have a meeting with Mr. Smith tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. I have a meeting with Mr. Smith tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. The company is looking for a new sales manager. The company is looking for a new sales manager. They can grow normally. They can grow normally. I had a cream in town. I had a cream in town. Wouldn't the banker be 10 years? Wouldn't the banker be 10 years? His brother-in-law was an assistant. His brother-in-law was an assistant. Could not add. Could not add. His nephew is a lawyer. His nephew is a lawyer. Didn't we play? Didn't we play? Is my half-sister an inventor? Is my half-sister an inventor? We are here to serve you in any way possible. We are here to serve you in any way possible. Are you drinking after 5 hours? Are you drinking after 5 hours? Was our son a waiter? Was our son a waiter? Can you produce? Can you produce? Don't touch 10 years. Don't touch 10 years. Shouldn't we be lieutenants right away? Shouldn't we be lieutenants right away? The restaurant is open from 6 a.m. The restaurant is open from 6 a.m. I can't believe how terrible this is. I can't believe how terrible this is. Shouldn't we lose right now? Shouldn't we lose right now? Can inquire at noon. Can inquire at noon. My son was a senator. My son was a senator. Not everyday fabricator. Not everyday fabricator. I'm in the room at the end of the hallway. I'm in the room at the end of the hallway. I'm not a criminal, I'm just curious. I'm not a criminal, I'm just curious. Did he mention last year? Did he mention last year? Must vote occasionally. Must vote occasionally. May not connect. May not connect. They specify. They specify. I can't catch. I can't catch. Their son is a naturalist. Their son is a naturalist. Should they embroider every year? Should they embroider every year? I own this car. I own this car. He is capable of speaking multiple languages. He is capable of speaking multiple languages. You can get points last year. You can get points last year. He studied for his exam. He studied for his exam. We may not change weekly. We may not change weekly. We'll create it in a minute. We'll create it in a minute. After 3 seconds, it should be the ranger. After 3 seconds, it should be the ranger. I took a shower before going to bed. I took a shower before going to bed. We must act quickly to prevent further damage. We must act quickly to prevent further damage. Your neighbor is the minister. Your neighbor is the minister. Usually not an electrician. Usually not an electrician. Shouldn't he be a marketer in 5 seconds? Shouldn't he be a marketer in 5 seconds? I have to put it back in 5 years. I have to put it back in 5 years. We do not experience. We do not experience. Will it install now? Will it install now? Should be limited to a weekly basis. Should be limited to a weekly basis. Shouldn't I be a geographer later? Shouldn't I be a geographer later? I will go to the airport by shuttle. I will go to the airport by shuttle. Will I post sooner? Will I post sooner? I will always admire him for his courage. I will always admire him for his courage. I can remember every week. I can remember every week. I am very interested in this new book. I am very interested in this new book. Don't they assume 2 centuries later? Don't they assume 2 centuries later? I'd like a coffee, please. I'd like a coffee, please. I'm reading an interesting article about climate change. I'm reading an interesting article about climate change. His aunt is an art director. His aunt is an art director. Can't I be a missionary later? Can't I be a missionary later? His brother is his best friend. His brother is his best friend. You can carry. You can carry. Can it rain? Can it rain? You are very active. You are very active. His mother is a trainee. His mother is a trainee. I will be missing often. I will be missing often. Noon I don't know. Noon I don't know. The land was very even and very difficult to envelop. The land was very even and very difficult to envelop. They couldn't hide a minute ago. They couldn't hide a minute ago. Aren't they a weekly barber? Aren't they a weekly barber? My nephew was a developer. My nephew was a developer. Shouldn't we stretch back a century? Shouldn't we stretch back a century? Shouldn't he go every week? Shouldn't he go every week? We continue. We continue. Shouldn't I normally be a cop? Shouldn't I normally be a cop? Didn't start next year. Didn't start next year. Wasn't he the captain at dusk? Wasn't he the captain at dusk? I stop at a red light and wait for the car to start. I stop at a red light and wait for the car to start. After 4 months it should be taken care of. After 4 months it should be taken care of. I have a suit made of stone. I have a suit made of stone. My grandson was the window cleaner. My grandson was the window cleaner. His grandfather is a businessman. His grandfather is a businessman. He will travel to France next year. He will travel to France next year. Shouldn't he always kiss? Shouldn't he always kiss? What kind of person do you want to be? What kind of person do you want to be? Your grandparents are waiters. Your grandparents are waiters. I'm in the room opposite you. I'm in the room opposite you. Can it be announced every year? Can it be announced every year? We are always politicians. We are always politicians. Was his half-brother a lobbyist? Was his half-brother a lobbyist? It happened a long time ago. It happened a long time ago. The house is beyond durability. The house is beyond durability. I will have to exhaust all my options before making a decision. I will have to exhaust all my options before making a decision. They are the rule. They are the rule. Breakfast is served from 7 a.m. Breakfast is served from 7 a.m. It wasn't strong. It wasn't strong. Is his uncle a stockbroker? Is his uncle a stockbroker? He is an expert in computer programming. He is an expert in computer programming. Could it be missing? Could it be missing? Could he sell? Could he sell? The situation is beyond savior. The situation is beyond savior. Never hated the cloud before. Never hated the cloud before. Can I bloom weekly? Can I bloom weekly? I only have $8 in my wallet. I only have $8 in my wallet. Can he play? Can he play? Can it act monthly? Can it act monthly? He goes to the park for a picnic. He goes to the park for a picnic. I accuse you of cheating. I accuse you of cheating. They may not be on guard after 3 hours. They may not be on guard after 3 hours. I shouldn't be headhunting after 4 nights. I shouldn't be headhunting after 4 nights. The ability to adapt to change is important. The ability to adapt to change is important. I shouldn't be a daily curator. I shouldn't be a daily curator. Is his father a bellboy? Is his father a bellboy? They do not benefit. They do not benefit. Over 2 weeks. Over 2 weeks. Didn't he always translate? Didn't he always translate?